Welcome back, friends, to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here today. Today we are planting potatoes. I'm going to take you and show you how we got here. What we did was we chitted these potatoes together about 6 weeks ago. We made sure they were green sprouting. It's optional, but you don't have to, but we did it to make sure they're going to have a nice, good start. We did that inside together. And then last night, I actually went ahead and cut them so that they had, and put them in front of a fan so that they had time to dry and kind of heal over the scab. And today we're going to plant them in some pots. So I love to plant potatoes in pots, and that's what we're going to do today. So let me take you in. I'm going to show you what I did last night to them, and then I'm going to show you the setup we have going on here this morning. Okay, so this first category that I'm doing right here, I am taking these and cutting them so you can see that this guy was one potato, and I cut him down the middle so that we'd have some good 2 or 3 sprouts on each side. And then I'm gonna put him cut side up in front of the fan tonight so we can plant him tomorrow in our buckets. Not necessary, you don't have to do this. You could dip them in sulfur, cover them with honey, or just let them, I've put them in the ground just like this too. This just helps them from rotting. We're gonna get about a week of rain right after I plant these, so I don't want them to rot before they have a chance to get going. But we did a great job getting them green sprouted or chitted, so they should be off to a great start. So we've got 3 varieties here. We've got caribou russets, which are these. Then we've got elbas, which are over here, and they are like the improved Kennebec. And then we have the grocery store Simple Truth organic russets. So I'm gonna cut all of these up, get them drying overnight, and we'll plant them tomorrow. So here's an example of one that has a ton of sprouts on it. We could actually cut this up into 3 or more if we wanted to, or I could remove some of these sprouts. But so you just kind of go, I'm gonna go straight down the middle, and then honestly I could cut each of these in half again if I wanted to, but we have plenty of potatoes. Each of these are gonna multiply by somewhere between 5 and 10. So this is plenty of potatoes for us. So we're gonna go ahead and get these drying, and we'll keep going. So these caribou russets and these Simple Truth russets, these are indeterminate tomatoes. It's not true that you can keep hilling them and they'll just keep growing potatoes forever. That's a myth, but you can do 2 layers in the pot and they will grow on both layers. So these are gonna get 4 seed pieces per pot for these 2 russet varieties. Now these elbas, they're actually, like I said, an improved Kennebec, and they are a determinate, which means that they will only grow on the layer that you plant them. They're not going to keep going up and up and up. So these are going to get 2 seed pieces in each pot. So I have these all cut so they will fit exactly in the pots that we're going to use. These are going to dry tonight, and then we will plant them in the morning. So these are our elbas, and then we have our Simple Truth russets and our caribou russets as well. Okay, so this morning we have our elba potatoes, which is gonna make up 7 pots, and we have our Simple Truth russets and our caribou russets. They're gonna be 4 pots each. So we're gonna plant 4 of these potatoes in each pot and 2 of these potatoes in each pot. I'm gonna get some soil filled in about 1/3 of the way, and then I'm gonna put our first layer of russets going this way. So I'll put 1 on each side here, do a little more soil, and then put 1 on each side here, fill the rest of the top, and then put a layer of pine shavings on top as mulch to keep the moisture in. That's what I'm gonna do for the russets and all 8 of their pots. And then for the elbas, I'm gonna fill it up about 1/3 of the way, put 2 elbas, 1 on each side, and then fill the rest up with soil, and then put a layer of mulch on top. So I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse while we do that. I'm also gonna put some Trifecta Plus where the seed potatoes are, just so that they have a little bit of extra yummy food in there. Sometimes I do this with compost. I had these bags that have been sitting in my garage since the fall. So I'm gonna go ahead and use these up to fill the pots. You can actually use these and then reuse the soil every year. But I used my pots to top off the beds last fall. So I'm gonna put some new potting soil in these and go ahead and get them started.
I've been growing potatoes in pots for several years now, and I've always had great success in doing so. This is the first year we're doing them in the hard-shelled, hard-sided totes, because in previous years we've always done them in the soft-sided, like the grow bags, and always had a lot of success with them. And then last year we actually had a big problem with mice eating holes in the side of the grow bags and then eating all of the potatoes. And so there was a whole bunch of just grubs and chewed potatoes in the bags when we got them. So this year we're excited to be switching over to the hard-sided totes for sure.
Okay, so we're going to plant these elbows. We're going to put 2 in each pot. Cut side down. All right, we're going to keep going on all these pots. Do you like planting or digging potatoes better?
Planting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I hate all the grubs.
Oh, yeah, there's grubs in the pot.
Perfect amount.
Yep. All right, I'm going to get these topped with soil, and then we'll put some shavings and tags on them when I'm done. Thanks, kiddo.
Bye.
Okay, so these are the determinate, and that's why we did 2 in a pot. These are the elbows. And then again, we're gonna top these all the way up. You don't have to hill them when they're in pots. You just hill them from the beginning. So this saves a step. You don't have to go back and hill them. So we're just gonna top them. We're gonna fill them all the way up to almost an inch from the top. And then we're going to put, like I said, the pine shavings on as a mulch and water them in. And then with the russets, we're gonna do this. I'd go up another layer, put 2 more, go up another layer, and then fill that up an inch from the top and do the shavings on those. So these are the elbows, just 2 in each pot, and now we'll do the russets, 4 in each pot.
So like I was saying about the potatoes, it's super fun to grow them, but I particularly enjoy growing them in the pots. And part of the reason I like growing them in the pots is that you're able to reuse that soil from year to year, unless you have a bad year where you have the mice that make their home in them. But generally speaking, you're able to save and reuse the soil because potatoes aren't really picky about needing super fertile soil. You can just reuse, and the same potting mix, you can mix it in with a little bit of fertilizer and or compost and kind of wake it back up. So it's kind of a money saver there to do that. And then you don't have the wasted space of a bed being taken up by potatoes that are only for like half the season. And for me, when you grow them in the ground, you're always going to miss a potato. And so there's always going to be this like potato that's just always going to be potatoes growing wherever you had them in your raised beds. And since, I'm on a third of an acre here and I have raised beds in my backyard, space is something that I don't have a lot of. And so it's very valuable. So I like being able to have things that I can grow in pots and move where I need to, and kind of move them throughout the season. And so the other benefit is that when you go to harvest them, you can just pick up the pot, dump it in a wheelbarrow, sort through and grab out all the potatoes, and then take that wheelbarrow and put the soil right back into the pot to save for the next year. Or you can take that wheelbarrow full of spent compost or potting soil and use it to top off your beds. This is what I did last year. So it's just a lot easier than bending over and breaking and digging through the ground and that kind of stuff, in my mind, when you're using the smaller pots, especially because it's more manageable. But that's just my opinion on why I like to use the pots. And plus, I think there's people that are growing everywhere and have different needs and wants. And so being able to show that, yes, you can still have this amazing opportunity to grow homegrown produce in pots. So if you're doing container gardening, if you live in an urban setting, or if you don't have the ability to have a ton of space, being able to grow things like this in pots is just really fun and manageable. So I love being able to grow potatoes in pots. I also grow my sweet potatoes in pots. It's still a little too early to plant the sweet potatoes, but we've got our slips growing inside right now in the basement. They've already grown off the mother potatoes and they are sitting in water rooting out, getting ready for us to plant in about another month and a half or so, we will plant out those sweet potato slips. So just another thing that we get to plant together in this beautiful garden. But on this day, we're filling up these pots, and I wasn't sure how much soil this was going to take. And so I brought out 8 bags, and I was really happy with the fact that we were able to get all of these pots planted with just the 8 bags. It was the perfect amount because I had them waiting in the garage to be used up. So after we get these elbas topped off, then I'm going to go ahead and start kind of doing assembly line style to get all of the russets planted. Again, we have 2 different kinds of russets. So we have the caribou russets, and we have the grocery store Simple Truth brand russet potatoes as well, just for a side-by-side comparison, just to kind of show that you don't need necessarily to buy seed potatoes. The important thing when you're getting ready to plant potatoes, you can buy them from the grocery store, you can buy them from a seed potato company. The important thing is that they're organically grown, which means they are not sprayed with sprout inhibitors, because the potatoes that you buy to eat at the grocery store, if they're going to be sitting on the grocery store shelves, people don't really want to see sprouts growing on them. And so the people that are growing them are actually going to be spraying them with a sprout inhibitor. And the sprouts are what you need to get the potato plants to actually grow you more potatoes at home. So organically grown potatoes are not sprayed with any sprout inhibitors, which is why you can use grocery store potatoes as your seed potatoes to be able to grow your potatoes at home. The benefit of getting non-grocery store potatoes from a seed potato company is that you can get different varieties, you can get there's so many different flavors and colors and textures out there for potatoes, so you're able to get a larger variety and some really fun different things to try. But if you're just looking to feed your family or have some fun growing experiences at home, you can definitely get the organically grown regular potatoes and sweet potatoes as well from the grocery store. So we were able to get the caribou russet potatoes from Wood Prairie Family Farm in Maine, where they grow organic seed potatoes, a very reputable company. And then we were also able to get the Simple Truth Kroger brand russet potatoes. We're going to get these planted, watered in, and then we're ready to go.
All of these planted, and Olivia watered them in. We put sawdust on them. Olivia labeled them. So we are good to go. These will just sit here and grow as long as it rains like once or twice a week. Especially in the spring, I won't have to water them very much. In the summer, I will be watering them to make sure that they get plenty of water, because they do dry out in these containers more often than they would, or more quickly than they would if you planted them in ground. So something to keep in mind. It's a much easier way to grow them, I think, personally, but you do have to be on top of the water. So anyway, that is our potatoes. That's going to do it for us today. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with us while we planted potatoes. I appreciate all the likes and the comments and the shares so much. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing already. We have a ton more planting and growing and preserving to do. So can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, my friends.